certain disturbances behind you. If you can just, if there's any door open or something. Hello.
I don't think so. Okay, I'll keep my mobile switched. Yeah, hello.
Yeah, yes, sir.
Hello.
Now we are hearing few small disturbances from behind you, so we just thought like maybe any door is open or something.
No,
okay,
nothing like that.
Fine, I'll start then, sir.
Okay.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Sorry for the short delay. At the outset, may I extend a warm welcome to all participants on behalf of CII. The webinar and online masterclasses is a very popular initiative. Until date, over 3,000 online sessions were held since its launch in 2009. More than 20,000 members have participated in these sessions and have shared their feedback in highly encouraging words. Today's topic is Natural Capital Externalities Tool, a tool to help measure ecological impacts of an industry. May I now take few minutes to introduce the speakers for this webinar. Mr. P.S. Narayan is the Vice President and Head, Sustainability and Social Initiatives in Wipro Limited. Also present with us are Mr. Anupam Ravi, Consultant from Just Advisory, and Mr. Nachiketa Das, Head of Research from Just Advisory. The fourth speaker in the line will be me, Arnab Dey, working as an Associate Counselor in CII. May I request all participants to make a note that this webinar would be a one-way communication from CII. However, participants are free to key in their queries in the question chat window anytime during the presentation by Mr. P.S. Narayan. All questions will be responded to during the Q&A session that would follow the presentation. If any question remains unanswered, due to time constraint, the same would be clarified by email. May I, on behalf of participants, extend a formal welcome to Mr. P.S. Narayan and invite him to take over the session. Over to you, sir.
Thank you, Arnab. Good morning to all the participants in this webinar. First of all, apologies for the delay. Also there was some problems in connecting to the webinar. And as all of you who have experienced webinars will know, there might be occasional disturbances, which hopefully will be minimal. So without any further delay, I will go into the presentation on today's topic. Many of the participants today, I'm sure, we met each other, and some of you must have been part of the task group, the task force that went into this particular issue that we're going to talk about today, which is natural capital externality valuation. So, so welcome to you. For you, some of these things that I'm going to talk initially might be a repetition, so please bear with me on that. For those of you who are attending this for the first time, I will begin with a very brief introduction to the CII IBVI initiative itself, and then go on to the main topic. So once again, welcome to all of you. So I hope you can see the slides and also hear me clearly. So okay, so to begin with, CII IBVI years back, 20 ITC Center of Sustainable Development, with which all of you are familiar, supported by GIZ. It is the first national initiative that represents Indian business at the United Nations Global Partnership in Business and Biodiversity. The task force that was set up to look at this particular issue of natural capital externality, you can see the names here. I hope some of you are here in this because you've all been part of the deliberations that have happened till now, and we've come to a milestone, a conclusion, so to say, on how to take it forward. This chart that you see are the signatories to CII IBVI. Signatories, and you also see a set of stakeholders from the domain perspective, and you see some of the most well-known names here. in the stakeholders. The CII-IBBI Charter today has 16 member companies from major sectors as well as a small and medium enterprise, collectively representing almost 540,000 crores of market cap. Among other things, CII-IBBI has been training employees of companies on what is called BNES, or Biodiversity and Ecosystem Services, and this has been very well received. Almost 2,500 employees have been part of this. All members sign to the CII-IBBI declaration, which you can see on the right side, and they have to make a biannual public disclosure on the progress made on these core indicators. Now, coming to the topic of today, sometime early on, we thought that it would be very useful to develop in India a tool to do valuation of natural capital externalities. And that's how the task force was formed. The task force was active for about nearly a year, and then we made some recommendations based on which it was decided that this tool will be developed jointly by CII and GIST Advisory, which is based in Mumbai. The tool will follow the protocol called the Natural Capital Protocol. It's a methodology developed by NCC, and the tool will, very crucially, the tool will help fill in the how part, or how to go about, following this protocol. Now, what is the objective? Why is this toolkit important? Why is it required? For companies that are clearly, on the sustainability leadership path and that have already shown demonstrable results, like most of you here, the objective of this toolkit is to help you evaluate your impacts, environmental and ecological impacts, which are called externalities, or natural capital externalities, NCX in short. Now, these impacts typically are not restricted just within the boundaries of your own operations, but are measured and valued across your value chain, from the upstream supply chain to the downstream distribution chain. So that was obviously one overarching objective. The second important objective was to do this at a cost which should make sense, which should be appropriate for the Indian market. Because such tools are available in the global market, but probably, the cost-benefit analysis may not be the best for Indian corporates, and this is as per the feedback that we've received from many of you. So the second important objective was to do this at a much lower cost, without, of course, compromising on the rigor of the tool and the quality of the analysis. Now, why do this? Why evaluate, or why do fix a valuation to externalities? Externalities, what are externalities? Some examples, most common examples are greenhouse gas emissions, pollution of air, water, land, abstraction of water, water use, waste, solid waste. Biodiversity comes in very crucially, but biodiversity in some way or the other is linked with each of these. This is something we've discussed in many of our meetings. Biodiversity helps sequester greenhouse gases, it helps mitigate air pollution, it helps enhance water security, and prevent land pollution. So in one way or the other, biodiversity is probably a horizontal theme running across these externalities. Now, all of us, who have been measuring these environmental impacts and reporting them in our sustainability report or an annual report and so on, they've been measuring these in terms of the environmental or ecological dimensions which are appropriate, whatever they may be, tons per capita, in terms of GHG emissions, and different units. Doing a monetary valuation brings all of them to a common unit. of measurement. I will not go into the debate on, the methodology being adopted for monetary valuation, the pros and cons. I think those are all important issues. Some of them have been discussed earlier. Some of them are continuing to be discussed. But in a sense, this tool will help you go beyond the environmental measures to arriving at a monetary measure as well. So what is the broad plan as far as the toolkit is concerned? You can see in this chart that there are two offerings that we are planning to bring out. One is a light version and the other is a full version. The light version, the NCX Lite as it is called, will do evaluation for 6 major environmental externalities. And on an annual basis, the analysis will be done by GIST and CII. And what will be delivered to the client are your results along with a brief methodology. From the second year onwards, the same client will be charged discounted fees if the calculations are for the same dimensions and if there are no changes in any other parameters or in the scope. If new parameters are added or if there are upgrades of some sort, then those will be charged additionally. So that's as far as an NCX Lite is concerned. The NCX full version does what NCX Lite does, and plus you will have an on-site installation. And what that means is that not only will the results be shared with you, but also the model. And therefore, it can facilitate the client to do their own repeat calculations from second year onwards, if the client so wishes. For future repeat calculations done by client using the NCX tool, what will be charged is only the auditing fees, and that's where it is different from the NCX Lite. Of course, like in the first case, any change in scope or boundary will obviously require additional pricing. So these are the two models of the product that we are going to offer. And so obviously, we cannot have one size fits all approach. We're going to have different versions of the product for small and medium enterprises, for companies which are in a single country but with multiple product lines, or for multinational companies which are present in multiple countries. Now, before all this, like any other tool, it's important to do a pilot. And the way we are planning to do this pilot is to, enlist and empanel at least 10 pilot companies. And, it's very important that this pilot be done properly. And companies who come aboard, we really appreciate that they have chosen to participate in this right from day one. And therefore, we will also offer discounted fees, which we will talk about shortly. So they will receive discounted fees for the report as well as for the on-site installation. Now, the scope of measurements or the scope of analysis will depend on whether a particular company already has something called a life cycle analysis study done, which is available with them. If that is already available there with them, then the data would be directly used for impact quantification. But for those companies which do not have an LC analysis with them, then the data collection template will be used to gather data on the operational impact, and whatever data gaps are there will be filled using standard databases, standard LCA databases. And the scope of evaluation will be limited, therefore, to operational impacts only, and may not be for the entire value chain. So that's how the pilot process will broadly proceed. And these are the project stages, starting with the scoping of the value chain to the second step of identifying the most material impacts of the company. Then the third stage of data collection. If data is available from existing LCA analysis for the company, then the analysis will be much more refined and fine-grained. Then data checks and gap filling. And then finally, impact quantification, quantification of these 6 impacts, and valuation of the impacts through the modeling algorithm that is part of the tool. So these are the broad project stages. So to just give a very quick example, if you take a product like a wooden panel and you start from the upstream process where you have the cultivation of the forestry, then the tree cutting happening, on to downstream operations of sawmill, treatment, finishing operations, and then to the distributional aspects of transportation, installation, use phase, and then the end of life phase of demolition and waste disposal. You can see that at every stage, the resources that will be used and the polluting effects of that, will be mapped, will be mapped based on the data that is available, and then the modeling tool will be applied to arrive at a externality valuation at each of these stages. So that's how it will work. So these are the key drivers. Okay, for those of, I'm sure many of you have this question in mind. So how do you put a value to it? What are the parameters that you take? So if you take the case of water extraction, what are the outcomes and impacts of water extraction? Outcomes could include, reduced water availability for food production, and therefore the impact of that could be malnutrition and reduced food availability. And therefore, how do you put a price on that? Or it could be reduced water availability for other competing users, for domestic users, forcing them to use unsafe sources. So then you put a value to the impact on human health. The third outcome could be a depletion in the stock of water, depleting water tables. So that obviously means that the cost of water will be much higher for future generations. So what is the cost of that? Fourth illustrative example is, in order to use water in your company, you will have typically invested in water treatment. So that increases the cost of supply of water. So all of these and many other factors will be considered. These are illustrative examples. What I just now spoke about will be considered in arriving at the value of the externality that a company has created. So here is a slide then that shows the pilot phase costing model for those of you who signed up. Up to 5 sites, the cost is 2.25 lakhs, 10 sites is 2.75 lakhs, and 10 to 15 sites is 3.5 lakhs. Now, we are most of the legal work is already done behind us in terms of the agreement between CII and GIST, and we are really very keen to get this started. So the special pricing is valid up to 30th of this month, after which, we will anyway start the process of the toolkit development, but from May 1st, we would like all the initial pilot companies to come fully on board as far as participation process is concerned. Yeah, so that was a very brief introduction to the tool. Those of you who are familiar with this, by having attended the CI IBBI meetings, as well as having been part of the task force, most of this will not be new to you, excepting the announcement that we are going to go ahead with the whole process now. For those of you who are not familiar with this, I hope this gives you a good enough starting point to consider adopting this for your own company. So with that, I will stop here and I will hand it over back to CII and GIST to say the next few things.
Hello. So you can put down your queries and we would answer from here.
Hello, everyone. This is Nachiketa over here from Just Advisory. First of all, thank you very much. Any key questions that you would like to ask us right now? Myself and my colleague Anupam, we are available. So please go ahead. Do we not have any questions?
Nachiketa, we have a series of questions. If you can just look at your the question box, which is there in the panel, the side panel on the right side.
Okay, yeah, I've got it. I just need to